Hi there folks, this is Andrew. I wanted to share with you a clean of my Hardy reels. This is not a deep clean where I take off all the line and backing. If you're looking for a more of a restoration video, there's plenty online. I'd recommend searching that way. Otherwise, if you're looking just to see how to tune up your reel to make sure that it is functioning well and metal's not grinding on metal, or if you're just interested, I'd recommend you continue watching. Pretty light on materials. My cleaning supplies, an old rag, some paper towels, an old toothbrush, and that's pretty much it for actually removing any sort of grease or debris. In terms of what I'm actually going to be applying to the reel, I have Royal Purple, it's ultra performance grease, and this tube here is more than enough to last several lifetimes over of Hardy reels. I have Reel X Reel treatment. This is oil. Hardy recommends that you use both in different spots. I apply the grease using paintbrushes. These are what's called travel sable paintbrushes. They're a little expensive. This set was $20 on Amazon. I like these because they have very fine tips and you can not over grease your reel. Is it necessary? No, you could absolutely use a Q-tip. You could even just wear a glove and put it on by hand that way. However, if you over grease your Hardy reel, there is the potential that the grease would create a little bit of resistance. You want your Hardy reel to scream, so you want enough resistance through the actual drag to help slow the fish, but not be slowed by the grease on the reel. For all of these items, I'll have links in the description in case you want to just use what I'm using to. For any Hardy reel that has the rounded screw, you need some sort of coin. A nickel, a quarter works fine. This is just a little game token that I had lying around. But you truly do need some sort of rounded object because the screw itself is rounded. So that if you have a flat screwdriver, it could potentially chip the edges of your screw, making it visually less pleasing to the eye. And if you wanted to replace one of these puppies, they are not cheap. You have to either have them custom made by someone here stateside, or good luck contacting Hardy to get a replacement and ship it overseas to you. Bottom line, best thing you could possibly do, just use a round coin to loosen your reel. Getting to your Hardy reel. So the spool moves and the faceplate moves. You have to hold one or both. Most screws, you turn to the right to tighten. On Hardy reels, you turn to the right to loosen. So make sure you have a firm grasp of the reel handle, and it does not take much pressure to loosen the screw from the reel. Once loosened, you can just take it out and set it aside to be cleaned and then re-greased later. The spool and the faceplate are actually screwed in together, so you have to hold on to the spool and then reel as if you're retrieving your line. I have mine set up to left-hand retrieve. If you have yours on the other side, you'd do it as right-handed retrieve. And you'll see the faceplate started coming out, and then it just pulls to remove. Once you've done that, you can take the faceplate off, revealing all of the internal components, and the spool will just slide out. First thing I will do is I will just start cleaning as much of the debris that's been accruing as I've dunked these things in the water and gotten them wet in the rain and set them out in between fishing sessions, removing all that old grease, old gunk, and just cleaning the surfaces as best I can. And honestly, that's pretty good. So, we'll go next to the arbor. You can see there was some residue here from where one of the checks sat. We'll clean that up, and we'll clean the grease around over here too. quite a bit of grease remaining on this one. This one's a newer Perfect, so this is probably a lot of the grease from the factory that was applied. When I re-grease my reels, I don't put as much, because really you just need to protect the metal from grinding on metal, and it does not take much. These are not cars where there are being hundreds upon hundreds of engine hours put on them. Clean the ball bearings. And then I'm going to activate the drag into pressing the springs to just reveal that little bit to clean out in there. This reel really was not quite dirty, not much at all, and it honestly could have probably fished for another season without cleaning. But honestly, for my purposes, I really don't see much more need to clean this. So, arbor housing, I'd say is satisfactory. All right, let's resume by cleaning the spool. Just going to clean that faceplate, clean the other side. Just a little clean inside here. Yeah, that's quite a bit of grease from the factory. Go again here. You can see paper towel kind of threads through, and that's pretty adequate for me. I'm pretty pleased with that. At this point, I'm pretty pleased with the cleaning of everything. So now I'm going to apply grease. So I have this Ultra Performance grease again from Royal Purple, link in the description down below. And it really does not take much to apply a good coating. So I'll get the shaft here. I'll get the threads. And I'm really just trying to make sure that not any one spot is kind of clumping. It probably does not matter because as you use the reel, the grease disperses. And then we can see that this portion down here is going to be what's on the ball bearings. And then the checks just touch the teeth of the gears. I'm not too worried if there's grease that extends past the ball bearings are. Done with the faceplate. There is metal that goes on metal here, so I will apply some grease. And then just kind of touching up the spots that are not going to have any contact. We'll apply some to the ball bearings. And if some gets into where the shaft will thread through, really not a big deal because the shaft is already greased. All right, I'm pretty satisfied with that. Now, Hardy recommends a drop of oil on each of the checks and in the drag screw column area, as well as this little weep well area for the screw. Apply some to the inside of the screw. All right, let's get some here. And we'll get a drop there. Kind of let gravity do its job to seep into that housing. And then already I can feel the drag operate much more smoothly. Get some oil into the checks. And that's really all that you need to do for the arbor area. Moving on to the spool. So I actually will apply some grease both to the screw and to the housing where it will thread through. Just on the threads. Wipe that excess. Really don't need much. Getting down in there where metal will be touching metal. All right. And then as we thread the shaft through, we can always clean up too. This is ready for reassembly. This will just go right back in. Faceplate, slide on in, and that will just screw on in until we get resistance. And there it pushed out some of that grease. We can just clean that up. Not being too worried because as we tighten the screw, it will get rid of that last little bit. And then again, remember, it's now left to tighten. And I really only tighten until I feel some resistance whatsoever. You really do not have to tighten these very much. And look at that. And this reel's ready to fish for me another year before I even have to touch it again. All right, I'm going to show you now the Marquis version of the Hardy reels. There's a little clasp here. You depress, and that literally just separates your spool for you. Because there's no faceplate, like on the Perfect, there's nothing to take off on this section other than to just clean it up. But here, we just remove the grease as best we can from inside the shaft in there, clean the debris around here, clean down here is around the check, re-oil, clean around here where drag knob is. You can tell there's a little bit of gunk and grime down there, which is making the drag not set as smoothly. And you can see as you turn it, each time you turn the drag lever, the springs compress a little bit more each time, in turn making the checks have a little bit more resistance, which in turn makes it harder for the fish to pull line. So very simple design, these little springs here, but very well thought out. Let's just start by cleaning a little bit, what we can, on the faceplate. And in here you just kind of have to reach in around the arbor. Around the shaft. And then these finer spots, we'll have to use the toothbrush method. Tighten the drag just a little bit more, just to get where the springs normally rest. Alright, let's see now if I've freed up a little bit of the grime and gunk. That's already looking significantly cleaner. Even just wiping away some of that old grease, I immediately feel that drag turning so much more smoothly. So what I'll end up doing is I'll put a drop of oil in there just for it to weep through where that screw is, because you can tell there's no weep well in here. And then a very light layer of grease. It really does not take much. You have to remember it's just a very light contact of the metal on metal. Really the most action that happens on these reels is this shaft and on the checks. I'm pretty satisfied with that. I'll transition to cleaning this here. Alright, so it's been a little while since I've cleaned this, and I forgot really just kind of how far down this is. So if you do have a Q-tip, cleaning this becomes significantly easier. Then I'll depress. There we go. Alright, so now I feel like this is relatively clean, and this is ready for re-greasing and oiling. So, apply grease, shaft here. Again, it doesn't take much. Oil here, here, and here. Manipulate the drag a little bit. See a little bit of residue that I'm going to try to clean real quick. There we go. And I'll just reapply some oil. Apply some oil down here. Let that weep in. That's pretty good. Some old debris starting to kind of come out. All right. Small bit of grease. All right, significantly better. Kind of clean up the edges here. All right. Painting around here, where metal contacts metal is right here, touches down there. And then I'll put a small drop of oil down in there. And that's really about it. Okay. And just like that, Marquis ready to go. Another year as well. All right, so that's going to wrap up this video. I hope that you learned something from it or just enjoyed watching me put another lick of grease on my reels to last another season. I encourage, if you haven't ever maintained your fly fishing reels, for you to either look online or meet with your local fly shop to see if that's something that should be done. Likely, because it is mechanical equipment, it should be something that's done periodically. It will last you much longer. It will operate much better. When you get the big one on, you'll know for certain that it was not your gear that was the issue. I appreciate you for watching this video. I certainly enjoyed making it, and I hope that you continue to watch my content and enjoy it. Thank you.